today's episode of the Fit Dads podcast. We're joined by a super inspiring lady. Ange is one of the most mentally tough and driven women that I've ever personally met. When I first met Ange at Firehouse Fitness at Halfway, she was in a very different place to probably where she is right now. She's the mum to an amazing daughter called Amy, wife to Andy, and someone I'm very proud to call a friend. Last year, on top of being a carer for a daughter, Ange qualified as a personal trainer with the aim to upskill herself and continue to inspire her family, myself, and now her clients. So welcome to the podcast, Ange.
Oh, well, that was lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, try my best. You're an easy woman to big up, Ange. You've done a lot.
I don't know.
Yeah. Which
Andrew might not agree.
I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would. He's got some banter, Andy, but I'm pretty sure
he's got some banter, bless him, yeah. And he is good. He's top bloke.
How supportive has he been through this career change right now?
Do you know what? He's been brilliant. When I first approached the whole thing, I was umming and ahhing. Oh, I thought about in the spring. And then I'm thinking, I've got to get my dates right. I've got to get Andrew's work shifts right. Because everything revolves around Amy and her care. And I ummed and ahed. And then I went and met Dave at Envisage. And I thought, yeah, I can do this. We can do this. And he was... Well, Andrew was sort of like... I was really surprised because we slotted it in, we worked at it, and we managed to do it. And he was very, very supportive, you know.
Just tell the listeners, I guess, a bit about your journey. So where were you when you were at Firehouse? That first moment you walked into Firehouse and you were like, right, something needs to change. Where were you in your headspace, in your body? What was that like?
Well, I didn't actually start going to the gym until I was in my 40s. So...
What was the reason for that? Just weren't sporty as a kid? Had never really had an interest in it?
I put everything before me.
Okay.
I enjoyed sport as a kid, and I enjoyed team sports and stuff at school. I went to a boarding school.
Okay.
My dad was in the army, so it was full of like forces kids and stuff. So it was quite a tough upbringing, but it was good. But when I actually... You just go along in life, don't you? You get a job in an office and you sort of like... I met Andrew. We bought a house together. We had Amy. I mean, I was 27 when I had Amy. And then we just sort of did what normal families do. He went out to work. I went out to work. Parents helped out with care for Amy and so forth, but there never seemed to be time to do things for us, having to do individual things. Andrew did. He played semi-pro football and he enjoyed it. He managed to get to do that, but I think that sort of decade that we were doing that, it was very much expected for women to be at home, but also go out to work and run the household and just sort of take on all that responsibility.
What decade was this?
That would have been in the 80s.
80s, yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, it would be in the 90s when, Amy was born in 97. So it was sort of like, you sort of mirror what your parents did. And everything sort of like that traditional setup. And there was not that much for women in terms of going to the gym or doing any training. I mean, I remember actually thinking I'll join Concord Leisure Centre because we lived at Winkerbank, and I remember going swimming. I used to love going swimming, but then I'd go into the gym and I'd go on the rower, cross trainer, all the usual things. Completely ignored the weight section. And then I ran home, and I don't know if you know Winkerbank, but it's like that.
Okay.
So I ran from the leisure centre down to our house, and it's the furthest I'd ran in a long time. And I got out of breath, and I was like so proud of myself that I'd done it. And I thought, do you know what? I feel so good. This is what I need to do. I need to sort of like feed on this and keep going. And I did. I mean, Firehouse, that was a different story because we moved houses and I live in Killamarsh now, so it's sort of like it was different. It was a new gym that had opened and we'd been introduced to it. But again, everything had been put on the back burner in terms of fitness and so forth. I'd lost my dad to motor neurones disease about 2 years prior to joining fitness, Firehouse Fitness. And then my mum, we moved to Killamarsh then. So my mum was like a main sort of like backup in terms of care and helping it with Amy and stuff like that. And then I lost my mum sort of 2-3 years after we'd moved up to Killamarsh. And it was from then on that I went to the gym.
Right.
And I found myself sort of like, this is making me feel better. I can, it's sort of like, it empowered me to think that we can do this on our own. We do, when you lose all your support and you're on your own, because Andrew's mum had gone as well, so we sort of like, you feel like orphans. So you just get on and you do it. And the gym was sort of like a community. I felt like I fitted in. I mean, I used to be a cardio bunny, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I love the sessions, absolutely love the sessions. But it was a small place when I joined. It was there was Den, Rob, and then other people came in, and then Brad came in, and it was mainly a HIIT class session and stuff like that. But it gave us a buzz, and I made friends, and it just opened up a whole new sort of, I suppose it's community, but it sort of, I just felt it was good for me. Really good for me in terms of how I felt afterwards, and yeah, it was a lifeline. I know it sounds dramatic, but it was a lifeline.
Doesn't sound dramatic at all. No. I know, we both know the power of the community and especially the fitness space, and
yeah,
it sounds like that came at the right time for you. It really did. It came at a time when you needed that community, you needed that support from other people to like, actually, it's okay, It's I can't ever imagine what it's like losing your parents, but when you do rely on them as well, and they're there as not only your parents for you, but also your grandkids, and that losing someone so significant, you want to replace that to a certain degree, and you want to have people come in there and fill that void a little bit. So
I mean, I was in a very dark place as well, because we were at a point where Amy was leaving. She's got severe learning difficulties, and she was leaving college, so we didn't know what was going to happen in terms of her care, her respite care, and finding somewhere she could go, because otherwise we'd have just been like, I'd have been stuck in the house constantly. So we were going through a lot of things with social services, and it was extremely, it was quite dark really, because you didn't really have many people to turn to, and I've made friends who sort of got me through that. They actually sat and they listened to me. You'll be fine. And yeah, it was really a turning point.
So it wasn't just like excuse me, it wasn't like losing like a carer. It was like losing someone who was very important in your daughter's life actually as well.
Yeah.
Because you probably felt very comfortable around your grandma. Or your mum. Sorry.
Yeah. It was just one of those. It was sudden. It was sudden. Yeah. I'd been out. Well, I was going out for a run. She'd not been well over the weekend. I knocked on the door, and she was just gone. So, but that's life. This is what happens in life, and until you go through it, you don't really know. Things knock you for six, and that's why it's really important to lift yourself up, feel good, because that's how we move on. You don't ever forget, and you don't ever sort of belittle the experience, or you don't. It's just one of those things where you have to lift yourself up and know that there's a better place to be. And I think working out, gym, general well-being, eating well, positive outlook on life, it all has a massive effect. It digs you out of the hole. I mean, there's a lot of people in a lot of dark holes. And I just think you don't need to be there. You can make yourself feel better. And there's all sorts of ways of doing that. But the way that I've found is through exercise and a gym community.
I think that's how we really bonded as well. I remember doing a charity event, Rovember, and you sat with me and did a full 10K. I did 10K on a rower for a month every single day.
No, Brad did it. I only did it once.
But Ange did join me, I will, for one of the sessions. And I just remember talking to you, and that were actually my favourite part of that challenge, talking to people. Yeah, just talking to people, and some other Firehouse guys, Sam Campbell, a few other, like Roscoe I used to work with. They sat and did the row with me, and it's, 10K is a long way on a rower. And you guys just sat there and we talked, and just wherever conversation led, and inevitably it come to, with me and you, parenting, dealing with grief, that sort of stuff. And I felt really close to you at that point, and it really inspiring. And you talk about the gym community as well, like
it does help. It really does help. And I just think some people, it's good to be open. So many people just close themselves off, and it's hard to sort of open up and talk about things. But it's amazing the similarities you can find with people, because we're all going through our own little horrible things. So nobody is sort of like has this fantastic, wonderful life. Everybody goes through hardship, everybody, and it will come at you, but you can lift yourself up and you can get out of it.
I always said, I think there's so many people in the gym that are there for a specific reason, and you'd be surprised how many people are like there because they're battling some demons, basically, whatever that might be, whether it is grief, whether it's just relationship stuff, whether it's just kind of some other things they've got going on in their lives. You never know. But prime example is one of my clients, Dan, who's been on the podcast. I've been training with him quite a bit at the gym, and he's had a phenomenal transformation. He looks so good now that one of the people who trains at the gym and has seen him train there just thought he was one of my PT mates. Didn't realise that, I actually posted a transformation of Dan online recently again. And one of the ladies who'd only seen the after was like, oh my God, I had no idea, he was there. And I was like, you had no idea where Dan was when he first came. He didn't only look bad, but mentally he wasn't great. There was so many things that just didn't, sit right with him at the time. And people just see that finished product. You see someone in the gym who looks great, but you have no idea,
what's going on.
Yeah, what's going on, why they're there, the backstory, the journey they've got to be at that level. And it's usually a lot more inspiring than you think.
I think a lot of people sort of underestimate. I mean, I know people who don't look after themselves. Well, I say look after themselves. They've obviously got other ways of coping with things. But they sort of, you're good at gym. They completely underestimate what the advantages of that is. The endorphins, I'll bang on and bang on and bang on about endorphins and how good they are in terms of how you feel, your self-worth, your empowerment. It makes you able to deal with so many other things, and it can only be a little thing. I got to pull up. Oh my God. It's just like your own little goals, your own little internal sort of goals and development. It's sort of, it is empowering. Yeah.
I think people can make those little goals seem very insignificant in their own mind, like, it's only one pull-up. But we've done quite a few episodes, and the topic we've covered a lot is, I think, with being exposed to so much success and highlight reels online, I think it's very easy to belittle your own achievements, isn't it? And, you go online now and some blokes, for example, we talk about deadlifting, like you might get a PB on your deadlift and you open Instagram and suddenly someone's there doing 3 times the weight, 3 times the amount of reps, and it makes you feel quite,
inadequate.
Maybe, inadequate, exactly.
I mean, I think people forget that we're all unique, and all our capabilities and all our achievements are unique to us. So, it is great, but just don't compare yourself to other people.
Absolutely.
It's and I see this all the time as well, in social media and people getting upset, and it's just the whole culture of it. I struggle with it. I stay away from it, to be honest, a lot of the time, because I feel that it's unhelpful. Especially for younger people coming up, because that's all the world is, social media to them, and what other people think of them, rather than just thinking, I've done good here. You know, it is hard. And I think, you know, you need to big up everybody who's doing something and taking a step forward. I think, you know, wow, it's a move forward. We have those days where we can't be bothered, we can't do stuff, but you know what, you need to sort of like push forward and be positive, and anybody who's making any steps, any tiny steps forward, you know, hats off to them, applaud them, because you need to do that with people.
Agreed.
And speaking of applause, like, we've not really spoken about your own achievements yet. Like last time, I think Ange sends me videos occasionally where it's like, can you have a look at this, can you have a look at that? And one of the videos that really took me back, where he sent me a video of deadlift, she got herself set up, and I'm counting plates. I'm like, there's 100 on there. I'm like, right, let's have a look then, Ange. So she picks it up, drops it down, picks it up again, and I'm like, oh, she's keeping going. And you must have done 4 or 5 at 100, and I'm like, where'd that come from? And then you sent me another video where, I don't know if you've seen dragon flags before, where you sort of lift yourself up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I thought you'd slowed the video down, because she controlled herself down incredibly well. And I'm looking at this thinking, I don't even think I can do that. I think, how's she doing this?
Yeah.
And I thought you'd slow the video down, and like what you're capable of now, not just physically, but the willingness to try it. I just think it's amazing.
I think it's an internal, it's a goal you set in your head, and you're not always going to meet that goal, but you persist, you consistently try, and you'll eventually get there. It might take, I mean, I think one of the things I said to you is slow and steady.
Yeah.
And that's the way that things come, slow and steady. But there's no quick fixes.
I think there's no sustainable quick fixes.
No,
which is
that's the difference. Yeah. There are quick fixes out there, but do they stay like that?
I'd always argue, is that even a fix in the first place? It's like, it might, you know, tick a box, but it's not really a
paints
fix.
over the crack, doesn't it?
Do you think a lot of people lack that staying power?
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's because of the pressures. They look at people, you know, do my 6-week challenge, do my 8-week challenge, and they go hell for leather at it, and then expect to be like, I don't know, some fantastic CrossFitter or whatever. It doesn't happen like that. You know, it just doesn't happen like that. You have to put the work in, but you've got to enjoy it as well. And so take the pressure off. Just look at the long picture and you'll get there. But the goalposts move all the time. You know, they move all the time. So that's progression. It's progression. It's the way things should be. Steady. Work hard, work consistently. Not that, like, you have days where you can't be bothered, but everybody does. But that's what you need to do. And doing that makes you feel good, because you can. Eventually, you'll see it. But people give up too easily. They expect things too soon. They expect the quick fix, and there isn't anything. You've got to invest. It's a long-term investment. Your health and your strength and your state of mind is a long-term investment. You have to take everything on board, what's around you, what's pulling you down, make certain decisions in life that sort of take you in the right direction rather than swallow you up and pull you down. It's
If we could play this to Ange in her 20s, do you think she'd listen? Do you think she'd... No. What would she say?
She was too busy waiting for her payday to go and buy a new outfit from Wallace, to go out on a Friday night, get drunk with her mates. Yeah.
What would you say to the 20-year-old Ange to try and make her listen? I mean, there's a 20-year-old out there now, someone maybe in the 30s, maybe even in the 40s, and they're in that same mindset and they're not quite convinced. What would you say to convince them?
I think you've got to be realistic about convincing people, because they're very strong-minded. They don't like to look to the future too much. So, like, take every day it comes, take every, I'm only young, I want to live my life, I want to go out and get drunk and this, that and the other. And that is part of life, A lot of students do that when they go to university, it's just the experience.
Confirm we do that.
Yeah, it's the experience of life, and you don't want to take that away from them, because it's a learning curve. I think, hopefully, people will sort of like... I think times have changed. Fitness for women has definitely come on in leaps and bounds. So I think our attitude has changed. You don't necessarily have to meet a fella or meet a partner and settle down. You don't have to do that. You can experience life. You can go out. You can see the world. There's so many things you can do. So I think attitudes have changed. So for me to look back at when I was 20... I just went along with the flow, what was expected of me. Today, if I was looking at a 20-year-old, I'd just encourage them. But really, health is important. Mental health, physical health is important. You need that to keep you through. You don't want to get to 40 and think, I've abused my body, I've abused my mind, I've just got myself into a place where I've got mixed up in the wrong stuff. Try not to do that.
They say youth is wasted on the young, and they don't realise what they've got in terms of their ability to recover, their strength. When you're in your 20s, you are in the prime of your life, and it does. It is a shame sometimes when people don't get that until they're a little bit older. But actually, as long as you get it eventually, that's the main thing.
I think, I mean, people. It depends on your environment, who you're with. What your social circle's like. It's a difficult one, because obviously also at that age people like to rebel.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They love to rebel.
We spoke about it a few times, but actually the way the youth is now as well, especially teenagers, people in their 20s, gyms are full of these people, and actually it's a big part of a young person's life now, isn't it? That expectation to kind of be in shape, be fit, go running, lift some weights.
Yeah,
it is more driven. That's the reason why we've got billion-pound companies like Gymshark now, because they've got that younger audience of people who are bought into gym wear, active wear. There's a whole fashion around it. It's got its own community, its vibe for younger people now, which I think is a good thing. It's pushing people into exercise and movement. But there's always still work to be done, I think, with stuff like that. And again, that sticking power. How do you get people to stay around and keep on improving?
I think the only way you can do that is people to start enjoying it.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. And some people just hate it. Some people absolutely hate it. But maybe that's because they don't give it long enough. Maybe they don't see the benefit. It's
too hard too soon.
Yeah, exactly. Quick fix. It don't work.
Yeah. I suppose those people in maybe 40s or 50 plus who are maybe really hesitant about going into a gym, if you could talk to those directly and sort of be like, right, here's my experience of that. You mentioned you didn't start really training or going to gym since you were 40.
And it was some friends of ours that said, there's a gym that's open down the road, it's only new, do you want to come? And I just thought, we'll go. And Andy went as well. But it was HIIT sessions and this, that and the other. But it was sort of like, the actual HIIT session was like teamwork, you know what I mean? We all sort of like, everybody was sort of like bigging up everybody. It was a different environment altogether.
Obviously, I've never been to a firehouse class, but the vibe I get is it's not like your typical leisure centre gym class where you go in there and you've got your little station and you're all in like a row of people. There's kind of, there's an environment where you're expected to kind of like push yourself, be part of the community, you're welcomed in.
And I think, but a lot of people sort of like Brad was saying, when you're like in your 40s, it was because friends had introduced me to it that we went and did it. But I felt accepted. I didn't feel sort of like, it's, you know, it's not like, well, I mean, I've been into a Sam Jones gym or you know, your normal leisure centre, and you just, it's the community, I think, to be honest.
Which I've never really told this story, and I really hope Dennis hears this and he can listen to it, because when I first met Dennis, he like captivated me, and it was round about the time that The Greatest Showman were released in cinema, right? And there's a scene in there where Hugh Jackman is trying to convince Zac Efron to join the circus, all right? Yeah. My chats with Dennis felt exactly like that, because I was coming from like a corporate assessing job, and he was like, Brad, I can see you're miserable, mate. Like, why don't you come and live? Why don't you come and be a part of this? Because it's amazing. Like the feelings there, and when I joined in on a few of the classes, I felt the pull, and I'm like, I must be mad. Like I'm sacrificing this big corporate career to come and chase what? And it felt right. And I'm sure you felt the same.
Yeah, it changes your outlook on the way. Yeah, it's. I've never come across it before, so for me it was sort of like I say, a lifeline.
What made you then want to go from the classes, being part of the community, to essentially running the community, being the kind of person who's taking those classes? That's a huge step for someone to become a client to their coach. What was the pull there?
I don't coach in a gym. I coach from home.
But you still coach.
Well,
I mean, I don't coach in the gym, but I'm pretty sure I'm still a coach.
Because I was enjoying it. I was enjoying my training so much, and I was also enjoying, I suppose, it's the results of the training and how it made me feel, and how good and empowering and how uplifting it is. But not only that, I mean, I'd go to Brad and he'd talk to me this, that and the other. I'm thinking, I'd love to do what he was doing. I'd love to do what he's doing, because it's so it's so brilliant to see people succeed. It's so brilliant to see them do something that they never thought that they could do, you know. And
it takes you back a bit to the time when you started feeling
definitely.
that. And it's that deja vu of like, oh, I've been here, I know exactly how they're feeling. That smile when they do that pull up, that look in their eyes when they do that deadlift, you know, and they're like, I'm capable. Yeah,
you've got like 100 kilo plates on a parallel, and you can see somebody who never thought they'd be able to push it and come back. And you know, it's just like, it's that cheering on. It's the achievement. Yeah, definitely.
Shout out to your home gym as well, because it's amazing. But I asked her a couple of months ago, I'm like, look, let us know what kit you've got in there, and she sent me a video of this walking tour, and I'm like, it's never going to end. Like, she's panning around, like, oh, I've got the air bike there, I've got the rower there. Yeah. And I'm like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's down to Andy, isn't it? I mean, he's just in his own little world there. He loves it.
I remember when it started with just a little turbo trainer, and you were like, all right, let's add to this a little bit, you know.
Yeah, well, it was COVID. COVID, we started buying stuff. So, you couldn't get any plates or Olympic bars off anywhere. So it was just like, I think we got some cast iron plates from Poland or something with a barbell. Some individual racks on side. I
was so jealous. When you were messaging me saying, I've just picked this up, is this any good? And I'm like, damn it, Ange. This looks great.
No, it's nice. He's got a nice setup. I call it Andrew's setup because he just loves it. He's just so,
Sounds like Shaw's gym to me.
Yeah, it is Shaw's gym.
There you go, yeah. That's all right. You are a Shaw as well.
Yeah. I still prefer to go down to the gym though.
This is it.
Yeah, that's the difference, because that's my sort of like space. It's a fantastic place. To coach other people in. It's nice, and if you're intimidated as well by going into a big gym environment, it's really good, especially for ladies.
Yeah, and I suppose you must see this quite a lot, Ryan, about like bringing people into quite a small space as opposed to like myself over at Station at the minute and Firehouse before, just this big space, booming music.
It can be overwhelming. Yeah. It can be really overwhelming for people. I mean, I'm used to it, so I'm not bothered. But that's not to say that I don't understand how people can feel in terms of walking into that space and seeing all these people lifting heavy weights and sort of feeling a little bit sort of, anxious about it, to be honest.
There's a whole community. It's the noises, it's the people, it's the outfits people wear, it's the grunting, it's the, like I said, the loud music, it's the posturing you get in gyms sometimes as well. A little bit of that.
You see a lot of that.
I remember, because I've been training for over 20 years now, and you kind of lose reality with what's normal in a gym and what's not, because you're in there so much and you're just so used to seeing the kind of the bravado of a gym culture. I remember taking on a couple of people in the 30s, a couple, and they had never been to the gym ever, never been members, which shocked me in the 30s, but they went to a normal JD gym, and they were like, they could make a sitcom out of this place. They were like, the amount of things we saw in one session that were just completely ludicrous, and they were telling me these things they'd saw, and I was just like, that's just the gym. That's what people do. Like, you will get guys doing bicep curls and then posing for 10 minutes afterwards in front of the mirror. Like, it's normal.
With cable machines. You see them doing it with these cable hands.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like,
there's nothing there, mate. But the bravado-ness of the gym, again, it's intimidating, and you're absolutely right. Like, I get people coming to me exclusively because they want like a private studio where they can make all the mistakes, they can look stupid, they can lift silly weights that they feel are a little bit inadequate compared to the people. They can build that up, and then my goal is always to get someone comfortable enough in that environment to be able to go to a gym and execute and feel like they belong there. That's really important for me.
Well, I feel like part of furniture, to be honest. It's like I've got to a point where, like, I'll go on bench press and I'll just ask somebody to spot me. Or and I feel comfortable enough to do that. But that's just because I've sort of like, I don't really care anymore because this is what I want to do. I want to go and do that. So I'm not really bothered about what I look like or how other people think, because actually when you do approach people, generally they're really nice and friendly, and they will help, they will talk, and once you get talking to them, that's when you start, like, that community comes from that. And it's not just the classes, it is actually gym environment. You can make it a nice, pleasurable place to be, and you can feel comfortable there, but a lot of people don't. And it is really difficult to sort of like get your head over that.
I think even just like gym etiquette, just knowing like what's to be done, what's not to be done, what don't I say, where don't I look, like that sort of stuff. It's nice. Which, speaking of that, have you got a specific person you love working with now? Because me and Ryan have spoke before about like the avatar who we absolutely love to work with. Like, if we could draw his dream client. I thought you were just going to say like Jason Momoa.
I don't know. I mean, somebody who wants to achieve, I think it's, again, we're all unique. And like for me, I just love that clients come in and just sort of like be buzzing. When they leave, just to buzz and just think, So I don't know. I mean, are you asking me about a Marvel character?
No, not at all. But we can go that way if you want.
No.
Could be in a while with Brad. He likes Marvel.
This will turn into a different podcast, I'm afraid. But
No.
No, I think really we're just like, we have certain clients who we try and attract. I mean, even like through social media, you try and speak exclusively to those people to try and get them through the doors. But I think from just you briefly explaining where you've been, your business a little bit, I think you just like people maybe probably not newbie people, beginners, and taking them through the first steps, taking them to those kind of initial places you were when you first started. Yeah,
and I think as well, I'm at that certain age where, I mean, the dreaded M word, it's a big thing. It's all in the media. Everything's the menopause and this. It's sort of it's a bloody difficult time. Some people will sail through it. Everybody's experience is different, but it can be hard. It can be really hard, and it need to be. You can make yourself feel better, just generally. So for me, I'm at that stage where my experience in life is sort of like, I'm going on, I'm knocking on now. I need to this is important for me to get another 20 years out of my life and be able to lift Amy up and in and out of the bath and get her changed up and downstairs just to to live. See your grandkids. You know, it's really important. I mean, we need to, you know, your pension don't kick in now until you're in your 70s. So you need to sort of like think, I've got to be strong enough. I've got to be able to be capable enough to lift the shopping bags, walk up the stairs. You know, there's all sorts of different things that you need to do, and it's really important as you get older to sort of like realise if you don't put the effort in when you're younger, you're going to suffer for it when you're older. You're not going to be able to participate. You're going to get tired. You're not going to be able to carry the shopping bags. You're not going to be able to stand up, sit down with ease, take the stairs. The people that I know have like put a lot of weight on, struggling getting up and down stairs, same age as me, and you just think to yourself, this is preventable. But yeah,
it is that willingness, and you know, some people might feel much more confident and comfortable coming to like someone like yourself who's going through that, because it's relatable. It's stuff that you've got not just sympathy for, but maybe empathy as well.
And everybody can improve. Nothing, you know, like, don't give up. Just start taking them little steps, and you'll be amazed how quickly you can progress and how much stronger you can get. It's having that sort of like belief, but a reason for it as well. You want to be able to like see your grandkids. You want to be able to do things with your grandkids. You want to be able to sort of have a quality of life, because keeping fit, healthy, looking after yourself, mental attitude, you know, let's hope we can get to 120.
And you mentioned,
we can all hope, can't we?
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned Amy there. Like, I've met Amy a fair few times, and she's an absolute sweetheart. Like, she's brilliant, and obviously you're the second ever mum that we've had on. So I just want to sort of talk through what's that like, having, you know, a daughter in her 20s as well. Like,
it's time goes quickly. So what I would say to you, Brad, with Teddy,
I've got a little girl,
you got a little girl, how old?
She is 22 months now, so nearly 2,
Just remember everything that you can possibly remember with them and enjoy it, because time just flies. I mean, it really does. I mean, Amy's 27. I mean, our circumstances are different because she's got severe learning difficulties, and sort of like my reason for doing what I do is because I want to be able to look after her. I want to be able to outlive her, to be honest, because I need to know that she's going to be okay, you know. And that's the thing. I need to know that she's going to be okay, and the only real way I can do that is to be here. So that is my main. That's the main reason why I've done what I've done and I do what I do.
I think the health aspect for you really comes across in terms of your why, your reasons to why you got into this, why you help other people. I think when you're in your 20s, when you're a teenager, it's very much superficial aesthetics, looking good, just to kind of pull girls and have a good time, basically.
Well, that's what it is.
But as you get older, you know, it becomes the transition from aesthetics to health is a nice one, because it gives you a deeper meaning to keep showing up. It gives you a deeper meaning to keep performing at your best. It's very easy to go, I don't mind if I don't check my biceps today. But when you know inside you don't feel good, you're not performing well, that really, even now, you know, it doesn't sit well with me. I want to know that I'm always in my best kind of position, physically and mentally, for sure. And
I think that is really important, specifically with Amy, because as I say, our family unit is sort of like, we're in our own little bubble, really. So for us to rely on everybody is very difficult. We do have relatives and they're there in an emergency, but generally speaking, it's down to us to look after ourselves and be able to like be there for Amy. I mean, she can be challenging. She can be really challenging. She's beautiful, but it's been hard. It's been really hard. However, you know, I've found a way of like coping with it, because I feel strong enough to cope with it. I feel healthy enough to cope with it. I'm sleeping okay. There was a point where I wasn't I was really down. But the way I live now has completely changed how I feel about life. It's more positive. So I think if I can turn around to people and say, look, this works, I'd just, hang the flags out and everybody, please listen to me because it does work.
Reminds me of a Bruce Lee quote where he says, don't wish for a lighter load, wish for the strength to be able to carry it. And I think there's a lot to be said about that, so much so that like some of the girls who you're quite close to from the gym as well, like Beth, Tony, Stacey, speaking to them, they all say very similar things. They say Ange has got this steeliness, this strength to her that's really admirable. I think a lot of people want that.
I think that's experience in life though, and I think a lot of people have that. I just don't think they believe they've got it. Until you sort of like start taking little steps, moving forwards, they won't. But everybody can. Everybody's got that. Everybody's got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose it's the same with training. Like, you're only really as strong as what you need to be. Like, why would you need to lift 100 kilo unless you're building up to it or training for it? You wouldn't. So anyone who's sat there not doing anything, you're probably not going to be strong enough to lift 100 kilo.
No.
But if you train for it and you build up to it and you have to.
And you're not like those goals, you know what I mean? But to see somebody, see somebody who's sort of like been doing your programme and they like actually managed to do 2 unassisted pull-ups that they never thought they would ever be able to do. It's like, high five, lady. You go. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, you can do what you want to do. You just have to put the work in. And
that has a knock-on effect on every other lift that they do.
Yeah.
When they leave the gym, they're suddenly feeling like, you know what, I can do 2 pull-ups. Life's suddenly a little bit easier for day to day.
Well, no, it's achievable. Life's achievable. You can get through it, and life's achievable. You throw it at me. Come on, throw it at me. I can do this. I can take it on board and I can deal with it.
You mentioned like enjoying it as well, and Andy's going to love it because I've started podcast off with him, and I'm sort of going to shoehorn him in again. But like, Andy's got an amazing sense of humour, and so have you. And I think you just bounce off each other so well. But yet, you don't take yourself too seriously. You take the serious, but then there's time for play as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, again, that's experience. We've been together for 30 years. So, yeah.
Have you got any tips for me and Ryan, who are sort of, I said, with early days in relationship, like with our other halves in comparison? Yeah,
I think you're individuals, and it's healthy to have your own interests, and it's healthy to sort of like let them have those interests without any resentment or any relationships are individual, and they can become too intense, and you lose your own identity. So I think it's really important to have your own identity in a relationship, and do things, have your own interests. And if Andrew likes his golf, he enjoys his golf, he's done really well. 150 quid voucher. He's won a competition this weekend. So, you know what I mean? He's buzzing, he's enjoying it. If I won 150 quid voucher, I think I'd be buzzing.
I couldn't agree more with that. I think when you go out with someone, especially when you're a bit younger, you tend to become the same person almost, and you gel into doing things that you want to do together. But I think the best partners are ones who don't restrict what you really want to pursue. They are in this kind of journey alongside you rather than them steering the ship.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, we're individuals, we have our own wants and needs, and I couldn't agree with that more. I really get the sense that you're definitely a bit of a motherly character as well.
I am.
Even with like your clients.
I am.
In the first 10 minutes of you being here, you were giving me tips on how to kind of keep my plant alive. So that's something only a mum would do. Only a mum would come in here and spot the dying plant on the side and say, right, that needs a little bit of work. Here's some tips. Go and get yourself down to the supermarket. Get yourself some. What was it? It was called
Baby Bio.
Baby Bio. I'm going to remind that. Write that down before you leave.
Yeah. I'm forever asking, have you had enough to eat?
Yeah.
But that's Yeah. I'm a carer. So,
yeah, sure.
I care about people. So, yeah, it's second nature for me to do that.
But that's what makes a really good coach, I think. Someone who genuinely cares about their clients, seeing them improve, is invested in them. Like it's hard to say, but it's quite rare nowadays. But people get into this industry for a lot of time the wrong reasons, and it's not to help; it's to make themselves feel better, whether it's through monetary things. But I feel like you genuinely care.
I do, and I've met along the way. There's people that are like really important people in my life now that I've met. And they've been through some tough times. But yeah. I mean, I've got 2 really close friends that I've met through the gym doing stuff with. And I just feel that I want to look after them. I want them to do well. They're like my children. It's sort of like, it's a nurturing thing, really. But then again, don't go too easy on them. Give them a bit of a nudge, give them a bit of a push, because
that's good parenting, good coaching.
That's the way it's got to go. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I don't know, my sort of approach to care as well is exactly the same. I'm probably someone who prefers to give gifts than receive gifts. I always feel really awkward when I receive gifts, because I'm like, I don't know, I feel a bit like, okay, thanks, but I'd much rather do it and give it, and it's quite nice to do that. But
I think when you see people, you don't want anything back from them. You just want them to do well. I think that's the main thing.
Probably a bit of a personal business question now, but you might be the similar thing to me, where early days in coaching, I probably struggled with the transactional side of coaching.
Yeah.
Because I always say, if I won the lottery, I'd probably still do some level of coaching just because I love it that much.
Yeah.
But you can't do that if you've got bills to pay, family to support. You almost have to.
I mean, I'm in that fortunate position where I don't have to take on. I haven't got to get X amount of money in a week or this, that, and the other. So for me, it's still something that I'm at that. There's no pressure. I just want people to do well. So it's not about the money thing for me at this precise moment in time. It's about getting a client in, only 1 or 2, and seeing them succeed. And when I message them or talk to them after, how you feel, buzzing. Absolutely buzzing. I can't believe I did that. So for me, that's where I am at this moment in time. It's not I want to build a massive empire or anything. I want this for me. I want to be able to help people on a really scalable, but sort of like the word, I wanted to use the word intimate, but it's not the right word. Personal, on a really sort of like invested level on a few people, not a massive thing. So I just feel that I could. That's what I can give. That's what I can do in terms to fit in with my life, caring for Amy as well. There's a certain limit that I can do.
It's really refreshing to hear that, because I think every other day you go online and there's some business mentor telling you that you need to get to 10k, you need to get to 20k, and it's very pushed down our throats about how well other people are doing. But I think that's what's being lost a little bit in the industry. It's that attention to detail, that level of care, that level of consideration, the personal aspects of personal training. That's really what it is. And some of the best coaches I know who have some of the best businesses started that because of that very reason. They were so invested, and there's that real caring aspect, and they're the people that will do well and have great careers. And whether they earn small amounts or millions, the ones that are in it for the long run and have a real longevity in the industry because they care. They really do. And I can see that in you for sure. The people that kind of come over, I mean, we've spoken about it before, the turnover of personal trainers is massive. But I genuinely think that's because people come into it for monetary reasons rather than trying to help people. They see like people are getting paid, 25, 35, 45 pound an hour, and they go, all I have to do is get 40 clients, and that's a great living. But actually, to get to that point is number one, very difficult, and they then realise I don't really want to help people. I just want to earn a lot of money. And that is. Essentially the wrong reason to come into it. Yes, you need, like I said, it's a transactional business. You need to be able to provide for yourself and your family to carry on doing what you do. But coaching is hard because you are, you know, you're doing something that's really quite self-rewarding as well. You're helping people.
Yeah.
But it is a business. So
well, this is the thing. I mean, I'm fortunate enough where that aspect is not sort of like paramount in terms of like, oh, X amount of money, bills to pay, this, that, and the other. We're covered. We're all right. We're happy. There's no pressure there. I have been approached for a programme before, and I didn't feel comfortable because I didn't know how this person moved, what their capabilities were, etc., etc. I could have easily turned around and said, there's a programme there. You know what I mean? X amount of money, that's it. But it just felt wrong for me to do that. So I wouldn't do that. You know, I would want to see how that person is moving and what they're doing and so forth. You can get on to Google and download a program and follow a program. Effectively, that's what I would be doing. But if you know, that person isn't willing to sort of like interact with you and sort of like let you know how they can move, what their capabilities. You know, you need to know.
Was this more of like an online client? So someone who wanted like coaching online rather than...
It was a messenger. It was a random approach. And then I said, I'd just really like to see how you move this, that, and the other, and that was it. No,
okay.
You know. So it's bizarre.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Why pay me for that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not getting anything in terms of that support or that. You know,
I've always said when we train people to be PTs for like numerous companies that I work for, there's two sides to the job. There's the personal part and there's the trainer part. People could be a fantastic trainer but not very personable.
Yeah.
That person will never do as well as the person who's a fantastic person and really cares and can learn the stuff as they go.
Yeah.
That person will always outperform in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because even though they might, you know, love training, they love people more.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to being a trainer, like we spoke briefly before about picking up the studies again and that sort of stuff, if someone maybe is thinking about a career change or just wants to push himself, maybe they're in a similar position to you, maybe the kids have gone off to school and they've got loads of time, but they want that change, like have you got any advice for them to pick up studies again?
Do it.
Just do it.
Do it. I doubted myself, hummed and hawed. It must have been about a good 8 months. And I was absolutely petrified because I thought, can I learn? Can I read a textbook? How will my brain work?
It had been nearly 40 years since you picked up the textbook.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, it was a little bit daunting. But you know what? If you don't give it a go, you'll never know.
Again, you know, you're asking your clients to step outside the comfort zone and do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
You've then got to be able to do that in your own job, in your own pursuits.
And I'm really pleased that I did it. I think I messaged you at one point about the scenario I had, and I was just like, what do I do with this? What do I do with this, Brad? Yeah.
But then I think it's nice to be able to do that when you think, I just need a second opinion. And more often than not, I think I just told you, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
And sometimes giving that little pat on the back of, you're doing great. But if you weren't doing great, I'd have told you. Quite frankly. Instead of being like, we're unleashing you to the world now. And that is a lot of pressure for anyone who does want to become a coach. Like, I always joke about having PT grandbabies. Like, I've assessed people, I've qualified people. They're now assessing people, coaching people, which means that I've unleashed that person. So I'm responsible. And that's quite a strange thing to think about.
I mean, that's the one thing I can always say. I mean, I'm going to big up Brad now because I just think he's fabulous. But if there is anything that I wanted, I wouldn't hesitate to ask, especially the experience that you've got and the knowledge. And just, again, it's that caring thing. You have got a genuine interest in people. You know, they just, if there's a problem, you'll do your best to like find something to overcome it or work towards that anyway, definitely. And that's inspiring. Yeah,
no, I appreciate
just
that.
Like pat on back.
We've spoken about it a lot, Ryan, haven't we? Like just being curious and taking a genuine interest in people and asking follow-up questions. I
think as a coach, you know what you would like to think what makes you a good coach, the traits of a good coach. And I think when you can see that in someone else, and I've had clients who've become coaches, and some of them have come to me and they've said, "I want to be a coach." I'm like,
You sure about that?
Okay, well, I wish you all the best. But then I've had a lot of clients who've become coaches, and I'm like, you know what, you would do amazing. You've got all the fundamentals of someone who genuinely cares, has done it all for the right reasons, from a personal point of view, and I hope you're able to kind of pass that on to someone else and help someone in the same way that really they've helped themselves. So I'm sure Brad saw that in you. I'm gonna assume when Ange first made that message, I was like, I want to become a coach.
100%. I was like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Like you'll smash it. You'll be great. The only limitations for Ange were just imposed on herself.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's life, though, isn't it? Your only limitations throughout life is what you tell yourself, which is it's sort of like it's when somebody comes into the gym and I'll say, try pull-ups without band.
Yeah.
I'm going for a band. Try pull-ups without band. Go on. And they do it, and it's like, you're limiting yourself because you're like, just do it, just try. It's not the end of the world if you fail. It's one step further to like succeeding. And it's
I think in the gym's like quite a good training ground for failure, basically. Because you'll do sets to failure. Like you can't do food shop to failure. You know what I mean? You can't.
No.
You could.
I try every week, mate.
Into overdraft. But that's what I mean. You can practice them little micro failures, and you see it sometimes. Like
don't be disheartened because it's all progress. Everything's progress. If you're doing something and you're putting effort in, it's progress. It's just.
It's a great analogy, actually. Yeah, you're right. I think a lot of people don't, in just day-to-day life, fail at things, and there's not enough failure. People aren't going through that process of knowing what it's like to be like set back a little bit and then overcome that, and that feeling you get from that. And the gym is micro versions of that. It's trying a bodyweight squat and getting it wrong and realising you can't go all the way down, you fall over or something. And then you work on a few things, you keep doing it week after week, and you come back and actually that squat's feeling amazing now. It feels really nice. I can get nice and low, my hips are more open, I'm functioning and moving better. And then you realise, okay, if I can do that with a squat, how many other exercises can I do that with? And then, like I said, the overlap into everyday life is just phenomenal. It really is. Big time.
And I think they go hand in hand. Life, health, strength, everything goes hand in hand to a positive outlook. Definitely.
If someone who is listening then is a carer, or they know someone who's a carer, and maybe they want to take a bit more control of their health, where would you recommend they start?
Just try and get out of, break your routine that you've got now. Give yourself something for you, and if that means just going out for a walk with your mate, or being able to, it's organising it. You've got to be very organised in terms of when you can fit things in. Because my world, my daily timetable revolves around Amy, picking up, dropping off, all that business. So you have to be realistic. But you are important. You're important. So if you weren't here, who would look after that person? So you need to look after yourself. So get out there, do the 10, 15 minute walk, make it a bit longer. Maybe ask somebody, a friend, do you fancy going to the gym? Do you fancy going swimming? Just sort of like try and find an enjoyment, but take that first step, because you need something for yourself. And caring can be very overwhelming, where it just completely takes over and you forget about yourself. So I would personally get out, try and get a group friendship or somebody, or because your mate might be feeling exactly the same until you talk about it. No, you don't know. Instead of coming round for a coffee, just saying, do you fancy doing this, that and the other, and just taking that. Put yourself first. I think a lot of carers don't. They put themselves on the back burner, and that's where they burn out. They literally they'll get to a crisis point in their life. So it's really important to get out there and do something for you. Even if it's, I mean, not it doesn't have to be physical. It can be going to the pictures with a friend. It can be getting out. A lot don't get that opportunity, but you need to push forward for it and do it. Ask somebody to look after. Ask somebody for help. Ask somebody to step in, because the person that helps, the carer, also needs some help. They also need somebody to care for them, but you need to care for yourself. So, yeah.
Carers need care too.
Yeah,
there we go.
exactly.
Yeah.
Self-care and external care.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it all sort of intertwines. It all comes together. You need to do that, because pressures of life, you forget about yourself. And if you forget about yourself, where you're going to be in 5-10 years time, you're just going to be sort of like,
and that's when mental health.
What have I done with my life?
Mental
I've done
health
nothing.
starts to get affected.
That was one of the main reasons I did this course, was because I felt that I hadn't done anything for myself in such a long time. In sort of for me. So I thought, can I do it? So I had my doubts on my capabilities, and I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And like Beth, she's like one of my biggest cheerleaders. Stace, she's one of my biggest cheerleaders. Go on, lass, go for it. And when you've got people like that, and Andrew, he's like, go on, you can do it. Stop doubting yourself. But the longer you leave it, the bigger doubter you become. So you're sort of like, it's a harder step to take. But yeah, just go for it.
I imagine the longer you leave it, the bigger that monkey on your back gets. It's like they're just jabbing away at you, saying, you don't think you can do this, it's been too long.
Yeah. And but I surprised myself, and I got a big sense of achievement out of it. And I just think it was a challenge to me, and I did it for me. And now it's like, all right, well, what's the next challenge?
Yeah, what's next?
What's the next challenge?
I love that. Great insights into the full spectrum of the carer becoming more evolved in who they are as a person, understand themselves. And
you need to, because at the state of things today, in terms of the help that you get, social care aspects of everything like that, you're like, you're the building blocks. You're holding the NHS up. You're doing all sorts of things that just go sort of like unthought of. You just do it because you're looking after a loved one. But not everybody realises how sort of like that completely takes over your life, and it can swallow you up, and you get lost completely. So you need to do something for yourself. If you're a carer, do something for yourself.
What great advice. Amazing. Yeah.
Have you got anything else for Ange, question-wise?
I guess any advice for just parents in general, people who are maybe not carers, but I think caring for children, whether it's with disabilities or not, it takes over your life, right?
It's hard work.
100%.
It's hard
You
work.
lose
It's
track
challenging, and sometimes you just want to curl up under a blanket and hide.
Yeah.
It's frightening.
What would be you mentioned some great things there, but if you had to have any advice for parents who've left it on the back burner for quite a while and now want to try and get out there again, and the first steps towards maybe getting out to the world and improving their health, their fitness.
Do it. I mean, you need again, it comes down to this self-worth business. You are worth looking after yourself. You are worth putting yourself first. You are worth having a hobby. You are worth, you're entitled to enjoy yourself. You're entitled to have a quality of life, and only you will make that change. So and you will feel better if you do it. You need to take those steps forward and think, yes, I've got my kids, I can involve my kids, do things that involve kids, get out. There's so many people that will take their kids to sports games, and you want your kids to see you doing positive things. So that is what you need to do. You need to lead by example. So don't sit on settee all day. Get yourself out. It's good to get in fresh air. It's, knock a ball around with kids. It'll make you feel better as well. And you see kids coming up as well. You want to be part of their lives. You want to see, but you also have to let them flourish as well. And you also have to let them be independent. Because we've all got our own little characters going off, and like when you see them and the attitude and the, then you see the teenagers and you think, oh God, this is so frightening. It's just like, but parents are going through the same things. We're all doing the same thing, and you all want the best for your kids, but just bear in mind that we've all got self-worth. We've all got something that we have, we can give and we can contribute, and it can all be positive. And you need to sort of like grasp it, but look after yourself and have enjoyment in life. It's like I say, it's hard work. But you were saying, you're going away and you're going to Euro Disney. You're going to enjoy that, aren't you?
Yeah.
So there you go. But Teddy's going to love it. Amy's going to love watching you watch Teddy watching you. And it's going to be like, that experience of like, this is what it's about. It's sort of like enjoying yourself and going forward. Amy, we were in the car, and she likes music, but we're not allowed to sing in the car.
Okay.
And this, I don't know what it was. It was on Radio 2, when we were driving. And this, I don't know what the programme was, but it was my meatball fell off the plate. I can't remember the song. I lost my poor meatball and it fell on the plate.
I do that song, yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Well, very rarely we're allowed to sing. And that was one of the songs that we sang. And this was only a month ago in the back of the car. And we were singing a song. Me, Andrew, Amy's in the back going, ah! You know what I mean? And that is the moments you sort of like, that make things special. It's sort of like you let go, and it's you're there, and it's nice if you can have those moments. It's some things that you don't forget.
It's not the first time I've heard stuff like that. It's usually like the little mundane things that you remember. If I cast my mind back to my mum and dad growing up, I always think of the little things, like my dad cooking bacon, singing Oasis, what I mean, on a Saturday morning. I remember that stuff.
No, I agree.
It's memories, and it's experience. Parenting is hard. It's hard, and
But it's harder if you don't focus on you and put you alongside your child in terms of being the person who's
it's important to keep your own identity, because you can get swallowed up. But like I said before, you have your moments where like Andrew has his interests, I have my interests, and it's sort of, it gels. We're quite happy with that, and I think kids as well. Let them be independent. Let them find. You can't control them all the time, So you invest in you and just watch your kids flourish and guide them as only you can, because at the end of the day, they're going to do what they want to do. So you can just hopefully set a good example, and they
set them off on the right path.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. I'm really proud of you, Ange. I'm pretty certain Andy's proud of you, and I know for certain Amy's proud of you. So,
well, thank you. I do feel like I've got a bit waffly and a bit emotional through this.
But it's nice to reflect, and I think we don't do that enough in our own lives. And it's one of the great things about our job. We get to kind of ask questions and see people kind of reflect a little bit on their journey in their life and how difficult things have been, how great the triumphs have been. The trials and tribulations are what have made you, and it's one of the reasons you're sat here. We've been recommended by Brad for your journey, for how positive you are, for how much of a great influence you've been, obviously, on Brad as well. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today. So it's really good of you.
No, you're welcome. I just hope I haven't sort of mothered you both.
It's natural. I don't think you could help that. I think you'd naturally do that.
No.
But again, just the care in you it's so strong for sure.
As I say, Brad's sort of I love the way that he coaches and what he does. I just felt, I want to do that.
Amazing.
I'm gonna do that.
Music to my ears, because that's all you can ever
Yeah.
ask for, just a positive impression, a positive example.
Yeah.
Because, so I'm glad I've played some sort of small part.
No, you have, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Wrap it up there.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you for joining us on the Fit Dads podcast. We'll see you all in the next one.
See you soon.